Hi, I'm Chef Owen Tilley. I'd like to welcome you to this edition of Ask the Chef. Joanne on Twitter posed the question, how do I julienne vegetables? And that's what we're going to discuss today. Now, to julienne is to simply cut something into thin strips about 1/8 of an inch wide, and that's all there is to it. Several techniques and methods to do this, but I'm just going to go over the basics. Now, there are many different vegetables, many different sizes and shapes, and I'm going to go over the most common with you. Any long vegetable like a carrot or a cucumber or a zucchini, they can all be done the same way. Now we're going to also talk about peppers and something called chiffonade, which is very similar to julienning, but it's usually with something thin like an herb. And like I said, we're going to talk about that too. Now julienning is a great way to add some pizzazz to your regular meal. It's a professional technique that'll just push you over the edge as far as appearance and plate presentation goes. So, without further ado, let's get started. So let's start with a carrot. Now, a carrot is about the same shape as zucchini or cucumber, and you can julienne those vegetables in the same fashion. First thing we want to do is to cut the carrot into manageable sections. I find that about 3 inches works great. Now that I have it cut as such, we're going to want to take a small slice off of one side of the carrot. Now what this does is it gives it a flat surface so it doesn't wobble on your cutting board. Now we're going to cut this into planks, and I want you to curl your knuckles as such and use them as a guide like this on your knife so you don't cut your fingers. Now we're cutting in about 1/8 of an inch because that's the general rule of thumb to use for julienning. Now the next part depends on your comfort level when you're using a knife. I'm very comfortable. I do this for a living, so I'm going to stack mine. Now you can do these one at a time. Remember, nobody's watching you. Take your own pace, and please be careful. Once again, using the knuckle rule, we're going to slice into our stack, creating little matchsticks. And that's julienning. Really simple, all there is to it. Now I want to talk about bell peppers. Bell peppers are a little bit different. Now you want to take your bell pepper and stand it up on either end to start, and then take a bold slice across. And then it gives us our meat, such as that. It's a great shape. Now you see this white piece? That's called the pith. It contains the seeds and can be just a little bit on the bitter side, so we want to take that out. It's that easy. Now, this is actually the perfect size for me for julienning. If your meat is thick, like you would see on a green bell pepper, you're going to want to take that slice that I did to the pith, go a little bit deeper and remove some of the meat to give you the right size. Now, with the vegetable, with the with the red bell pepper, I like to use it with the shiny side down because it gives you just a more secure cutting area. Now, what I'm going to do is, using the knuckle rule, like we said before, guide it along. But as I'm cutting this, I'm moving the bell pepper to ensure that I get even slices. Just like that. And once again, it is that easy. Now, we also talked about chiffonade. And chiffonade sounds like a very, very fancy word, but honestly, it's just another way to julienne. Now, I have some Thai basil here in front of me. Do you have to use Thai basil? Absolutely not. This works on spinach, this works on regular basil, or any green leafy vegetable. So what I've done is I've taken a few of the leaves and picked them off. Now, here's where it's different. I'm going to lay these leaves flat on the cutting board, stack one on top of one on top of each other, and then I'm just going to give it a roll. Roll it up as such to make a little tube. Now, taking your knife and once again, using your knuckle rule, we're going to take and cut these. I'm going to do these a little bit thinner than 1/8 of an inch. You can use 1/8 of an inch or you can go thinner, just depending on your preference. Now, what this does, as I shake it apart here, it creates really cool zigzag designs, which I find works great as a garnish. I like to use basil this way on top of bruschetta, a pasta, or your favorite pizza to give it that extra flair. I'd like to thank Joanne, our Twitter fan, for posing the question, how do I julienne vegetables? And I hope that you found it useful and an interesting way to add texture and an upscale appearance to your family's next meal. And remember, you keep asking, I'll keep cooking.